is a story about a young man who knows about time. It's a story about another young man who knows about tools. And it's also about a young girl. She knows about people. It's a story about 3 new employees at an airline, planning and scheduling flights, a mechanic who will work at repairing and maintaining equipment, and a hostess who will work at serving passengers. This is a class for newcomers, a company's way of introducing itself to its new people, and a company's way of helping to impart a spirit of teamwork, that intangible thing Americans so dearly love to talk about. But if it's true to say that the word teamwork is overworked, it's just as true to say that the spirit isn't. In some industries, however, and the airline industry is one of them, teamwork is the one thing that makes all the wheels go around. They must know their jobs, must learn to coordinate with others. They must know all about their company, and that's a complicated subject. To begin with, Mohawk Airlines is what is called a local service airline. It connects, of course, with the trunk and international lines, which crisscross the nation from one coast to the other. But these routes generally interconnect only the large cities, and that's where the local service airlines come in. Mohawk Airlines connects a section of America, the industrial Northeast, to the rest of the nation, and in fact, to the world. This is how it started in 1945. But the routes grew in number, the business grew in volume, the planes grew in size. And Mohawk Airlines became one of America's 13 certificated local service airlines. Today, Mohawk Airlines flies the new and fast Convair Metropolitan and has dynamically expanded its facilities, building a vast central nerve center with 2 huge hangars, each the size of a regulation football field. And from the giant platform of a permanent work dock to a small testing bench in the delicate instruments room, there is only one standard of performance, the highest possible. These instruments, being tested under simulated flight conditions, reflect what is one of the major activities of an airline, a constant program of checking and rechecking. Every piece of flight equipment undergoes a periodic scrutiny. And not only the equipment, pilots too must be checked out. And so, periodically, an unscheduled flight takes place in the plane that never flies, the Link Trainer. This pilot is supposedly flying from Syracuse to New York, and while he progresses and responds to problems that are thrown to him, his flight pattern and his ability is slowly being recorded on a scale map. The airline business is complicated, as these reservation clerks know. One reason is the fact that an airline seat is the most perishable commodity in the world, worse than an ice cream cone in August. Once the airplane leaves the station, the empty seat can never be sold. In the case of a local service airline, the problem is compounded. Since the flight distances are short, there is competition from surface transportation, the telephone, and just plain inertia. For this reason, and for a host of others, the management of Mohawk Airlines has a job to do that is as unroutine as any other in the world today. Mohawk has grown tremendously, and it's still growing. But it takes a lot of work, and of course, a lot of people who know their responsibilities, who can relate their jobs to those of their co-workers. From the junior mechanic in the maintenance shop, all the way up to the president of the company in the conference room, there is this concept of cooperation. It's one which has to be thoroughly explained to a new employee. But new employees usually have questions of their own. A new dispatcher, for example, likes to know what's expected of him, and the answer is a lot. A dispatcher is what might be called the general manager of the airline on a minute-to-minute, hour-to-hour basis, since his decisions determine the quality of service the passenger is to get. He must know how to prepare and study weather maps. He must know a number of skills. Must be able to teletype at the rate of 25 words a minute. He must know the availability of aircraft and the routes they are to fly. Must plan flights and maintain contact with them and provide information for passenger service. He must do all this, and he must do it accurately. The dispatcher, however, works in flight operations, and that's only one of the many departments of an airline. How about maintenance? A new mechanic would like to know if he'll be put through a training program, and the answer to that is yes. In fact, maintenance men at Mohawk Airlines become pretty familiar with classrooms and books, since aircraft equipment is in a constant process of change. Airline equipment, engines, instruments, electronic equipment, accessories, and airframes must be kept in tip-top shape in accordance with strict company and governmental standards. Mechanics are the backbone of the maintenance group. And in fact, in the whole airline, there's no more responsible position, no other job category where particular skills and experience are any more valuable. A mechanic must know how to do his work well. There can be no excuses, no margin for error in his work. And so the picture gradually falls into place as the questions are answered. A new hostess would like to know her duties, and here again, there is a training program. The job of providing service for passengers on airline flights calls for much more than a pleasing appearance and a ready smile. For example, hostesses must know about planes and schedules, and a great many other things as well, in order to answer the inevitable questions from curious passengers. Above all, a hostess must know about people, and that seems to be a piece of knowledge that can't be taught. You either have it, as this girl does, or you don't. This is often described as a glamorous job, and in many ways it is. Certainly it's an important one. In a sense, the personality of the hostess may often represent to passengers the personality of the entire airline. Maybe that's why hostesses are always pretty. Well, so far, we've seen only a fragment of an airline. Some equipment, some people, a lot of teamwork. The anatomy of an airline is made up of many things. The pretty face of a young hostess, the impressive sight of a huge hangar, and also the sleek lines of a Convair Metropolitan. Today, local service airlines such as Mohawk perform a vital service to America. They have created a whole new concept of air travel, have made feasible commuter and connecting service by air. What the future will bring is proverbially uncertain, but one thing isn't: the continued growth of Mohawk Airlines. Another thing that isn't uncertain is the continued high quality of its personnel. For it is the people, even more than the high quality of its equipment, that has made the airline industry what it is today. The human factor has been the single most important force that has converted the idea of air transportation into the reality of today's fast and efficient airlines. The international airlines, linking continent to continent. The local service airlines, which connect to them. New employees soon discover they are expected to be responsible not only to their company, but to themselves as well. For an airline requires of its personnel not only skill, but interest. Not only hard work, but intelligent work. An airline demands of its people more than competence. It demands enthusiasm. The role of the airline industry today is a shaping one. It has helped make of the great world a much smaller place, has made far distant places only a matter of a few hours away. And now, the new and growing local service airlines are bringing air travel to many more millions of people, crisscrossing the blank spaces on the map. Mohawk Airlines, servicing the highly industrial Northeast, has expanded tremendously in the space of a few short years, and is still expanding at a rapid pace. Why not? The air age is still young. The sound of wings is just beginning to be heard.
You gotta be more precise, Mac. I'm no mind reader. Mohawk says 4 airports in the New York area. Westchester County, Newark, LaGuardia, Kennedy. Now, what do you have?
Make it Kennedy.
It'll be a pleasure, Mac.
I want you to be happy.
UN. That means United Nations. I've been in there with the kids.
Oh, how'd they like it?
Great. It went real big. Stadium. Them Mets.
Yeah.
Page, your stewardess. Welcome aboard Mohawk's 111 fan jet, powered by Rolls-Royce. Your second stewardess is Judy Garrity. She'll be happy to take your beverage orders. Meanwhile, I'll pick up your ready tickets. Real great time savers, aren't they? No muss, no fuss, no standing in line. You buy more than just a seat when you travel Mohawk. Of course, you start with reservations, and you find that all our flights are timed to your needs. Mohawk flies when you want to fly. Makes sense. In reservations, your request for a seat is processed by a computer in slightly under 1 second. Trust a blonde to know that a businessman's time is money. You're time conscious, we're time conscious. Our reservation system proves that. And if you want to make connecting reservations with another airline, we have direct lines to them all. With us, you can make jet-to-jet connections in jet speed. Our flight crews plan altitudes and speeds to bring you to your destination precisely as scheduled. They're skilled, and they fly the highly sophisticated equipment of the first regional airline in the United States with pure jet service. Welcome aboard Mohawk. everything we do to make your regional airline as good, as fast, as efficient as the best transcontinental line has one target only: to get you where you want to go when you want to get there. After all, it's your time, your trip. You have appointments to keep. And we handle your cargo with the same efficiency. Our 111s carry their own power plant, air conditioning, and heating. There's no time wasted with ground equipment. You can bet our ground crews step lively. Our intermediate stops take only 6 minutes. Turnarounds at the end of the line take only 10. You're off to a flying start with us, business or pleasure. A sales trip, a buying trip, a matinee, or a vacation in the Caribbean. Through Mohawk, jet-to-jet connections, and the whole wide world is on your doorstep. Flight control is really the nerve center of Mohawk. As in reservations, a computer speeds the work, finding all the facts we need in its electronic memory in split seconds. Here, we know the up-to-the-minute status of every flight. Here, flight crew schedules are coordinated. From here, our fleet is operated to meet your needs. Flight control also keeps track of the maintenance of every airplane, following rigid standards, and again, computers do the bookkeeping. Flight by flight, the Mohawk fleet is posted, and mile by mile, arriving, departing, its movement over 10 states and Canada is under constant scrutiny. Yes, your ticket buys more than just a seat on a flight.
Each morning, the men and women of Mohawk gather to meet the challenge of your air travel needs. My name is Walter Dietz. The meeting starts at 8 on the dot. Most mornings, Robert Peach, the president, is there, and every other officer not away on company business. It was my turn as briefing moderator. First thing, over a closed telephone circuit, every manager of every Mohawk station checks in. Out in the open are the individuals responsible to you for this airline, prepared to meet the daily moment of truth. Your complaints come to this meeting. If your bags were delayed or misdirected, if you were given inaccurate information about a flight, someone must answer, and answer well. In this airline, responsibility is a personal, individual affair. In this big United States, there's no such thing as a small airline. At Mohawk, there's no such thing as small people. Here, you stand on your feet and get counted. A late departure yesterday? Why? How come? Let's have an explanation. In this company, a difference of opinion comes out in the open. Problems, when they exist, are met head-on. And I sometimes learn what the word moderator really means. Problems are exposed, discussed, solved. Looking forward is another function of the morning briefing. There were, for example, many contributions to a discussion of extra flights for the holidays of the year. And of course, we discussed our whole new jet fleet, a $60 million purchase. The fleet is composed of brand spanking new BA C-111s and Fairchild-Hiller 227s. We aim to keep them that way, brand spanking new. That brought us to maintenance, to schedule and training, to men and facilities. Our maintenance mechanics and engineers had studied the new jets until they were old friends. We took the time, spent the money, trained, studied, trained some more. We were fortunate in one thing. Our men had the background and experience to do it.
My name's Otto Evans. Been a maintenance supervisor with Mohawk for some time. Like the 111s, that 227's a real nice airplane. Got great cargo capacity, too. With those airplanes, you can make commuting and connecting flights equal to the finest. Pilots have a $2.5 million Link flight simulator for both the 111s and the 227s. Train all the time like astronauts. Maintenance ground flying. On an annual basis, I reckon we check and test more miles in the hangar than the pilots actually fly on their routes. Check and recheck, test and retest. Check and test and inspect. When we okay a part, it'll fly.
Your flight ticket is a share in Mohawk staff. Jet power, jet service, even jet ticketing. New ticket counters. Why not? We're making new friends every day. He usually travels with us on business, but this time the whole family is going to the Caribbean. Jet-to-jet connections and a pleasure all the way. We're largely a businessman's airline, but even for vacations or a shopping trip, who wants to use a horse and buggy in the jet age? If you're a ready ticket holder, it's out of the line and into the plane in jet time. Easy. So you see, your ticket buys more than just a seat when you travel Mohawk. It buys a whole airline.
1947. Alone. Outnumbered. Mohawk Airlines is but a thorn in the soft underbelly of the airline giants. City by city, region by region, mammoth fleets have gained control over the eastern skies. Now, for Mohawk, the time has come to begin. The time has come to move. The time has come to build. Off the assembly lines come the jets. Jets in abundance. Jets in overabundance. Jets in superabundance. Now, Mohawk is ready. Now, Mohawk is prepared. Now, Mohawk shall answer the challenge. Take off for New York. Take off for Detroit, Cleveland, Rochester. Take off 446 times a day for every corner of the East. Take off for victory.
Quick jet flight, a light snack is easier on your stomach than a meal you can't finish, especially if you're still chewing a chicken leg as you get off the plane. This won't happen to you on a Mohawk jet. The quick flight is Mohawk's meat and potatoes, but we won't serve you any. A light snack, maybe. We know quick flights and 7-course dinners don't go together. We should. At Mohawk Airlines, we have the quick trip down to a science. It hasn't been easy.